Want an even more in-depth look at the toy in this review? An entire gallery of images can be found at Toy News International. Just click the link in this video's description.
Hey guys, I'm Pixel Dan, and this is a review of the G.I. Joe Eaglehawk Helicopter. That's right, it's the reissue of the classic Tomahawk helicopter, but it is now named the Eaglehawk. So let's go ahead and check this thing out. As you can see, it comes in kind of a smaller box. Actually, I was a little shocked at how small this box is for how big the actual product is inside, but that's because it's in a lot of little pieces inside and you actually do have to assemble it. But you will notice that the box features some really beautiful artwork of the Eaglehawk itself being flown through the sky with some nice gunfire coming off of it and everything. And one thing to point out about this box is that it doesn't actually have the G.I. Joe Retaliation name on it. The box is still very much colored and themed like a Retaliation box, but it no longer says Retaliation. It doesn't have that image of The Rock as Roadblock or Snake Eyes on the logo as we've seen with all the other stuff recently. But if you look at the artwork, it does appear that The Rock's Roadblock is still inside the helicopter there, so like I said, it definitely still has that Retaliation feel, but it's worth noting that the Retaliation title has been dropped from the box. Then the back of that box there just shows off all the contents inside, as well as the action features that this particular vehicle has. So when you open up the box, you're going to find a lot of bags that are full of all the parts to put together the Eaglehawk helicopter. You're also going to find a sheet of instructions that's going to guide you through the process, and you're going to find one sheet of decals. Now, putting this together, even though there's a lot of pieces, it's actually pretty simple. The instructions do a great job of guiding you through the process if you even need to use them. It's actually pretty self-explanatory, just looking at all the pieces, figuring out where they go. All of them snap together very nice and snug when you're fitting it all together. They lock in tight, so once you put it together, it's not really meant to come back apart. So that's a good thing because none of the parts are loose on here. It holds together very nice and tight, nothing falls apart. Now, putting the decals on is going to be more complicated, so definitely make sure you've got at least 20 minutes of time set aside to kind of put those decals on. The instructions do the same thing that all the G.I. Joe vehicles seem to. It kind of gives you a general area where you can put the sticker, but there's no actual guidelines on the vehicle itself of where the sticker should go. So it'll take you a little bit of time to get all the decals put on there. But once you get that done, this is what you end up with. The Eaglehawk Helicopter. Very, very cool looking vehicle. First of all, this thing is pretty massive. It's a lot bigger than that box. I mean, here, just look at it next to the box. I mean, it doesn't even look like this big helicopter fit inside this little box, but it did. So that's the magic of having to assemble this thing. It measures about 21 inches in length when it's all put together, and it actually has a really nice weight to it. It is made of a lighter weight plastic, but it doesn't at all feel cheap or flimsy. It's actually nice and solid and feels quite a bit better than some of the other recent vehicles that I've picked up to take a look at. So I do really like the size and the overall weight and the sturdiness of this thing. Like I said, even though we had to fit it all together and put it together, you can see that all the parts locked in there nice and tight. We don't have to worry about anything kind of falling off. Nothing's loose. Nothing's wobbly. It's a nice, solid vehicle. So I like that quite a bit. So there's a lot to look at with this thing here, and we'll go ahead and start just kind of with the paint job, the deco on here. You'll notice that it's kind of all done in just this tan color. It does have some minor camouflage paint job on there, but that's all the painting detail you're going to get. The decals do more of the work of bringing out some more life to the actual helicopter. Otherwise, it's mostly just all unpainted. There are several action features on here. We'll go ahead and just start with the top and we'll work our way down, because of course you'll notice that there are two very large propellers right there on the top of the helicopter. These do spin, of course, and they are very nice and fluid in motion, so they actually get a really nice good spin to them there. And all of the little blades are individually kind of articulated too, so you can fold those all back. So that way, if you kind of want to get the helicopter in a parked or resting position, you can fold all of the blades back on that. Also will work well if you need to display this on a shelf or something and you can't have the blades all out. You can kind of spin them around and bend them. however you need to make it fit a little bit better on your shelf. Now up here underneath the front propeller, there is a way that you can open up this little hatch underneath it. It's just kind of clipped on there and it folds down. And basically this just kind of reveals the big engine right here under the first blade. It's the helicopter engine. It's got some sculpted detail to look like an engine, but it is completely unpainted just like the rest of the vehicle. It's just all done in that tan color, aside from the little black exhaust pipes that are sticking off of either side. So kind of a neat detail that you can fold that open and look at it there, but not a lot of extra details painted in on the inside. Now on the tail, we do have the extra propeller down here that does have the ability to rotate around, and the blade on the inside spins. There we go, get a good spin on there. So another little articulation point on there to rotate that blade. And then you'll notice if you look at the bottom, we do got some fun stuff going on down here. First of all, you do have a set of wheels, all of which roll, so you can land this guy, you can roll it across a flat surface very well. We also have an articulated Gatling gun on the bottom. It's got the ability to swivel both left and right, and also can raise up and down, so that way you can position the gun wherever you need to have the Joes firing at Cobra. Also on the bottom, we've got the cool little winch system with the rescue hook. So very cool there. I'll show you how that works in just a minute after we take a look at our included action figure. So while we're on that front, let's go ahead and take a look at Lift Ticket, the included action figure with the Eaglehawk vehicle. It's a really nicely sculpted figure. It actually does have some good details on there. Great looking figure. Looks like your current modern Joes. And that's one thing that I really like about this guy. Unlike some of the more recent vehicles that we've gotten, he is fully articulated like a G.I. Joe should be. So he's got a removable helmet, which we can pop right off the figure there. And then of course he's got the great ball jointed head, he's got ball jointed shoulders, swivels above the elbows, standard elbow joint, swivels at the wrist. He's got that great rocker there in the torso. He's got the G.I. Joe style hinge joints there so the legs can rotate all the way around. He's got double joints at the knees, swivels at the ankle, and an ankle joint. So this guy is fully posable like a G.I. Joe should be. So that's a really great bonus pack and figure to have with this vehicle. And like I said, he's got that really cool removable helmet. He also comes with a gun. And another thing that's really great about this is he comes with 2 radio headsets. This is really great because if you want to get any of your other G.I. Joes and get them in action with the Eaglehawk, you can snap on the radio headsets so that all of your Joes can communicate with the pilot. Very cool stuff there. So, Cockpit, of course, opens up on the front of the helicopter. You can just fold the little blast shield down in the front, and that reveals a 2-seat cockpit up here. There's a nice little black control panel in the front. It's completely unpainted, but it does have lots of little dials and everything sculpted on. There are also 2 little joysticks sticking up. So you can sit Lift Ticket up there if you're going to have him pilot. You can have any of your Joes up there piloting. 2-seater, close that up, and it's ready to go. So that's going to bring us back to the cargo area, where there is lots of room for multiple Joes. You can see I've already got it crammed in there. I've got it stuffed full of guys. There are 5 seats located in the back. There are 2 in the back here facing backwards, 2 facing forwards, and it's hard to see, but way back on the inside, up against the 2 pilot seats, there is a 5th chair that is also facing backwards. So you can see I've just kind of got 5 Joes crammed in there. So with those 5 seats there and the 2 seats up front, that means you can seat 7 G.I. Joe figures inside the Eaglehawk vehicle here. Now there is some extra room in there. You could probably cram a couple more guys in there, but it definitely seats 7 comfortably. That is very, very cool. There are some floor pegs in there for the feet to plug into, but I will say that it's a little hard to actually get their legs to bend so that their feet are flat on the ground for those pegs. The legs definitely do work better when they're extended outwards to kind of get them in there sitting properly. The 2 rear facing seats there actually do have rotatable machine guns that are sticking out of the side of the helicopter. They're just on little swivels there, so you can swivel the guns around. That way you can have the Joes on the inside firing down. And then on the back, we do have the opening back hatch. It just folds down there in the back. And again, there are some pegs standing on there so that you can stand some Joes on there if you want to. Now, I will say that there isn't a lot of clearance as far as the height goes. So even though those pegs are on there, you're not going to get a lot of really good standing poses on there because, of course, the tail really sticks out kind of low. So they're definitely going to have to kind of duck down and everything. But still very cool that we've got that opening back hatch. All right, so let's go ahead and get the little rescue winch down so you can check out how that works. Basically, you got the little hook hanging from the bottom of the helicopter. It just extends by pulling it down. And you can see it doesn't really extend too terribly far. It's not a very long extension, but it does fold down. And let's see, let's go ahead and get our lift ticket grappled onto the hook here. Just for fun so we can see. So we can have lift ticket hanging from the helicopter there. And then there's just this little dial right here. And when you turn the dial, that's going to wind the little winch there so that it brings the little hook right back up to the top. That way you've got them wound all the way up. Now when you don't have a Joe hanging from it, it does wind tight enough that it does get kind of nice and flush with the bottom of the helicopter. That way it's not always hanging down. It's a real nice tight pulley system, so there's no loose rope or anything like that. So it's a very fun little action feature that doesn't at all get in the way of the displayability of the Tomahawk, or the Eaglehawk, I'm sorry. No longer the Tomahawk, it's the Eaglehawk. And then lastly, we do have a couple missiles just kind of sitting on here. These are all just detachable. They don't actually fire off or anything. I'm just kind of very classic G.I. Joe there. They're all white missiles, so they're not brightly colored orange or red, which is very nice. The white blends in much better with the colors of this particular helicopter. And you can just pop those off. You've got 3 underneath the small little wings there, and then you've got the larger ones hanging off the bottom. That is on both sides. So that's 8 missiles total, and you can just take those off and you can fire them. You can drop them on the bad guys if you want to, so very cool stuff there. Works for some added detail. So there you go, guys. There is a look at the brand new Eaglehawk helicopter from Hasbro's G.I. Joe toy line. I say this is a very cool piece. It's a really nice vehicle. It's very well done. If you're a fan of the vintage Tomahawk, you want to get an update to it, maybe you missed out on it like me, I didn't have the Tomahawk. So it's really cool to have this new Eaglehawk to add to my G.I. Joe collection. It's got a great size, it's nice and durable. I'm pretty happy with it all the way around, and I think this is going to make for a great piece for your G.I. Joe collection. Now this is already starting to show up. It is available at online stores, so happy hunting, and until next time.